logarithm based or some programming based tools are there. So since this is a still in research grade thing, like validation of scoring, and you can rely on it, but provided that you are doing some search. If you want to do it on patient population directly and you have to prepare a report, you have to depend on the what we got on the manual scoring. Okay, but you can use it on the basis of your these tools online available, but validate it with also manual scoring till now. Maybe in futures it may be like some new guidelines will be there to use some best tool in online, then you can use that. But right now, manual, if you are the patient, manual scoring is must. Okay, thank you. So we'll start the next session. Okay.
So this is a recorded video. So hopefully we think this will be the last time we'll be playing it online. So otherwise our previous participant used to go take a walkthrough through the lab and see the sleep lab setup. So we have tried our best to replicate it as a visual experience. So we'll play the video, and in between there will be narrations. So in case you have some questions, you can then and there post it in the chat window. We'll try to address it either during the tour or immediately after that. So without much ado, let's start going through the visual. That's the sleep room or sleep chamber. That's right. So as you can see, the entire sleep chamber, it consists of sleeping rooms, and there is a chamber outside where we have kept all our equipment so that the patient or subject doesn't have to see all those, and they are comfortable. So as you can see, it's a sleep attenuated chamber with wooden panels, and this is the amplifier, as you can see. And there are other setups which you will see in the upcoming, in the video. And we have the IR camera, and then we have IR light and IR camera. And as you can see, the temperature and humidity, everything is controlled. So those are the setup. So this is the polysomnography recording system. So this one, what we have is from the company called Nihon Cordon. And as you can see, it's a very compact trolley setup where we will have the monitoring screen followed by the extension of the amplifier. We have other setup below, the computer and everything. And whenever the polysomnography recording is going on, experimenter will be sitting in this room next to the sleeping room, and he or she can monitor the traces. And if we want to add some particular events, for example, so those can be done real time with this particular setup. So this particular segment of the video is right away jumping from Dr. Arun's talk, where he walked us through the overall overview of the polysomnography technique per se, where the four bony anatomical locations, which serves as reference points for measuring the distances between two anatomical points, between say maceo and inium. And we divide those segments into initial portion 10%, 20%, 20%. So you will see through those portions now. So as you can see, the total distance was roughly 38 centimeters, and 20% of 38 centimeters will be 7.6 centimeter. So from that initial intersection point C set, we will measure 7.6 centimeters and use a small sketch pen to mark that location. So this is as per the 1020 system which was covered. So we will measure and mark all those points so that we can place electrodes on top of those points later. So once the anatomical locations are marked, we will be placing electrodes using this particular paste. And it is also important to assure your subjects that this is a paste which is water soluble, it is shampoo based, and it will just go off once you wash it. Because otherwise the subject will be wondering, will it affect their hair and all? You don't want the subject to be tensed and worrying about it. So it's very important to mention to the subject to make the subject very comfortable, because especially in the sleep studies, these are very important, because multiple times we get this query that are you going to pass any current through this equipment, and when they see all these wires, so it's very important to reassure them and make them comfortable. And you can keep talking to the subject so that they don't doze off also. So in this particular video, you can see the gel here, the paste here, and at times we use a skin preparation gel, which contains mild abrasive materials, so that now we will see we'll be cleaning the scalp. There will be dust, there will be some little bit of oil elements and all. So it's very important to make a very good contact between the electrode and the scalp. So care should be taken to remove and clean the area which will be the contact point. And before any experiments, we should inform the subject to take a shampoo bath and come, and do not apply any oil. And if they use hair dyes and all, it's very important to get that information, because all the caps or any other systems we use are very costly. So in case they get tanned with these colors, the money will go down the drain. So it's very important. These are very minor things, but it's good to take care of these things. You're using the mild abrasive gel, very small amount. It's very clean now. You can see the scalp clearly, and you wipe off the excessive material. You apply the paste. And then you place it on the anatomical landmarks which were marked, and make sure the paste just oozes out of the hole, so that there's a proper column of the paste between the scalp and the electrode. Not too less, not too more. That it will spread every other place. So some of the clinical labs, they will manually place electrodes like this, maybe 6 or 8 of them. But as you can see, when we have to place more number of electrodes, typically it's a research case scenario where we need to place maybe 19 electrodes, 32, or in certain cases, for example, in Gulshan's study, he is placing 64 electrodes. So time will just run out if you want to manually place each and everything. So in such scenarios, we will make use of a cap, EG cap. So you can see how we use a custom-made cap to get all this anatomical locations correctly. It's very easier. So if you observe carefully, Dr. Gulshan has aligned the anatomical location we marked previously with this hole. So these caps, we have to measure the head circumference, and then all these holes are cut in such a way that they follow the 10-20 system. So you have to make sure that the holes are aligned on top of the anatomical location. And secure the cap tightly. So this is a disc electrode, cup electrode, and we have a slightly different set of electrodes when we use the caps. So that is also important to note. You can see it as a circular groove. Now you clean the electrode location. Make it dry. So there are some tricks and tips which people acquire with training. As you can see, Dr. Gulshan is holding those whatever branches of hair left off to the extreme corners, so that the space where we are placing the paste is just on the scalp. There is no hair in between. Just observe the finger holdings. Exact amount, neither more nor less. Filling it. You keep placing other electrodes as well. So as you can see, in some places, once the electrode is ready, you will be plugging in those electrodes directly to the amplifier. But we would highly recommend having something called a junction box. So junction box is more like an extension cord where you will have slots wherein you fill the electrodes, and it is detachable. And if subject wants to go for a washroom break in between, we can just disconnect the junction box, and the subject can go to washroom and come back. Question? Yeah, so Dr. Prasida Menon is asking, do you create a custom-made cap for each subject? So we do not make, so these caps are available from companies which sell us the equipment, or other companies, and it comes with different head sizes. For example, the most common ones are head sizes 52 centimeters, 54 and 56, which serves the small, medium and large. So we buy these caps and they are stretchable caps. So, and these caps last really long. So we buy say 4 to 5 caps, which will typically last easily 5 to 6 years if you take good care of them. And these caps are available for adolescent and even for children. So slightly these caps are very costly. So it's something upwards of say 30,000 to 40,000 each cap, just the cap. Electrodes are extra. So electrodes will be per electrode 5,000 to 6,000. So roughly we will need with the spares 30 electrodes, that is 30 into say 6,000 plus 5 caps. So that is something like 5 into 40,000 plus 5,000 into 30. Right. So another thing is, even if we use less electrodes, if it serves our research purpose, then that's good enough. So if we are interested in just assessing the sleep stages, we need only the standard 8 electrodes. There is no point in having more electrodes. So the number of electrodes also should be decided based on what study we are doing and what type of analysis we are going to run further. Right. And one more thing is, these caps are kind of universal. the electrodes as well. So as you can see, so it is compatible with a multiple range of equipments. So whatever we use, it will be reusable with multiple types of machine also. In case, say, in some places, one research lab will be shared by 2-3 research groups. So in that case, it will be a good idea to share a common equipment instead of buying separate ones as well. So please fill in your question in the chat box so that we'll be able to address it then and there. We'll continue with the video. So this particular window is the impedance window. So the moment, so here we have connected 4 electrodes already. And as you can see, once the contact is very secure, and it will show us a impedance rating. So our goal is to minimize the impedance to as low as possible. So typically we can set the ranges as well. So here, as you can see, it was pretty good. It's below 1 kilo ohm. So typically we try to keep it below 10 kilo ohm. That's why you can see the threshold is kept at 10 kilo ohm. So any electrode which has managed to pull the electrode impedance down to 10 kilo ohm will be labeled as blue. Others will retain as red. So our goal is to minimize the impedance so that all the electrodes are below 10 kilo ohm. So in case some electrodes show a larger value, we try to adjust it, and even if it's still not going down, we have to take it out, clean it up again, and redo the same process again. So as you can see, the moment F4 was plugged in, here therefore currently it is showing a rating of 5 kilo ohm. Give it a minute or two to settle, it might come down. Yeah, it has come down to 2 kilo ohms now. So as you can see, after placing the EEG electrodes, we have placed the EOG electrodes, EOG1 and EOG2, and they have also a very low impedance. So now we are placing Emg electrodes. So as you can see, these are some minor tricks again. So even though the subject is having lots of beard, still we can neatly tuck in the electrode. And if you noticed, Gulshan added just one top of layer, slightly spread it so that it stays intact. Now he will be placing the extra substitute electrodes in case if we lose one. Beards are slightly moved and it's neatly tucked in, as you can see. Yeah, and cover it up with the rest of the beard hair. So some of the labs, they do not place ECG as a part of their standard setup, but being a research lab, in terms of ECG, it's just another 2 electrodes. So since we are placing all these electrodes and we are recording throughout the night, it might be a good idea to capture ECG as well. These are adhesive electrodes. As you can see, already the electrode is attached to the adhesive pad. Otherwise, sometimes what people do is they will put the pad, and then if you press the electrode, it might not be very comfortable for the subject. So it's a good idea to put the electrode to the adhesive cap and then place it. And if people are having chest hair, we have to be very careful when we take them out in the morning. These are the extra sensors, the chest and abdominal sensors, movement sensors. It should not be too tight or too loose. Ask the subject if they are comfortable. Those are placed on the same junction box. Nasal sensor. The oxygen saturation. This is for tracking leg movements. So once all the electrodes are tested, subject is seated comfortably and he is connected to the machine, and you can see the different traces. On the top, they are the EEG sensors. The blue ones are EOG. Then comes EMG. As you can see, this is the ECG sensor electrodes. And below, you can see the abdominal sensor, the chest sensor, movement sensor. And we have the nasal airflow sensor and the periodic, the leg movement sensor as well. So before we actually begin the study, it's very important to check all these sensors so that everything is intact. So typically we tell the subject to close eyes, open eyes. We look for verify alpha and tell the subject to clench their jaw, teeth and all. You can see the abolishment of alpha and blinks. Dr. Gulshan will be walking you through these things in detail. Eye movements, the slow eye movements which Gulshan discussed in the previous session. So these are rapid eye movements. These are slightly slower. Teeth clench, as you can see. And deep breathing. Look at the bottom pane of the sensors. Compare how large they went compared to their previous amplitudes. Look, the alpha is back once the subject closed his eyes on the occipital derivations. We have zoomed in on the leg movement sensor, and subject is ready to sleep. There is a question from Mr. Rafiq. Pressure transducer cannula is not needed, or only thermal sensor is enough? Yeah. So Dr. Gulshan will be addressing it.
So this pressure transducer, it depends on the indication. Okay. So in case of this obstructive sleep apnea, this thermistor is okay. But in case of pressure transducer, and it's helpful in marking hypoapnea. So you can use both pressure transducer as well as thermistor, both if you want. Either thermistor depends on the indication. You can also use like a thermistor for the hypoapnea if it is acceptable, not recommended. CPAP also you can use. So that is okay. Okay. So it depends on the indication.
Right. There is a second question. When the subject is wired up to such an extent, will this wiring itself not create unnaturalness for the subject's sleep pattern? Is this unnaturalness controlled in some way? If so, how? That's a very good question. So we talked a lot about the ecological validity of the study, right? So first of all, this is not the natural environment in which a person sleeps. It's a totally different room, and it's a closed room. There is AC, and there is this thought running behind in people's mind. Okay, somebody is monitoring my sleep. So certain parts, I would say it's a trade-off, because when we want to study sleep in a lab setup, there are certain things which we can't avoid, but that doesn't mean we should try. So many times we tell the subject to come in their own clothes, and maybe at times get their own pillow or whatever, so that they feel comfortable. And we also try to talk the subjects through the entire setup so that they feel comfortable. And typically any sleep study, it will have 2 nights. The first night will be the accommodation night, where the subject will stay there and they will feel comfortable. And the actual data recording will happen on the second night. But even then, the challenge is you need to spend 2 days to get one set of data. So it's a challenge there. And again, nowadays there are so many improvements which has come in terms of technology, the wearable, the sensors, which will minimize the amount of the wiring which is required. And even there are some contactless monitors which are available, which Dr. Arun conveyed in his presentation. So these sensors will be below the mat, or they can poll without having a contact. So, but even then, the traditional setup, one challenge is this many wires and electrodes. So if you don't need an electrode, we should skip it for sure. So that trade-off is something which the experimenter has to take based on what type of experiment, what type of research questions they are doing. Yes, it is expensive to conduct if 2 consecutive nights. The subject has to stay back. We have to pay for 2 nights. And for them also, if they want to come for a study, just 2 nights coming out of their schedule. And if you can do it with just one night, that will be great. So some of these concerns I'll be addressing in my talk next day, which is named under the topic beyond hypnograms, right? So there is a second question. Yeah, everything is fine, but subject should be wear loose clothes, otherwise it will be a confounding factor. Yes. So some of us, so the subject is myself and experimenter is Dr. Gulshan. So there was a time we were just spending our whole month in the lab. So and this is for a demo purpose. So otherwise, rightly pointed out, people should be in their comfortable clothes so they can sleep well. A pillow as well, right? So instead of, some people doesn't like very comfortable pillows, they will prefer very solid pillow. So they can bring their own pillows if that helps. So we will try our best to make them as comfortable as possible. Then what we will do when subjects wants to go to toilet at night? Good question and good concern as well. So that's why we were we were using a junction box. So as you can see in the video, all these electrodes will be connected to a junction box, and from the junction box, it will go to the amplifier. So when the subjects want to go for a washroom break, we will disconnect the junction box and subject can carry it, go to washroom, come back and connect it back. So we don't have to, at the middle of the night, plug in all the electrodes again. Yeah. when asleep, can the movement of the subject cause loosening of the electrodes? If yes, how is that addressed without disturbing the sleep? Good question. So at times what happens is when they move and when they try to squeeze on one side, so then you can see some electrodes will go bad in those sections. But when they turn back, most of the time it will go well. So what we typically do is, that's why we place backup electrodes. So for the purpose of scoring and all, if we have the optimal amount of data using which we can still do our research, we don't go and disturb their sleep. Otherwise, if we go and try to change it, sometimes it will make them wake up and all. So, but in extreme scenario where you feel like that the data collection can't go in this quality, we intervene, we go and try to use our mobile torches, and without waking up the subject, we try to do the repair and come back. And if it's extremely necessary, we have to intervene and do. But when placing the electrode itself, we should anticipate all these things and make sure things are at the best way possible. So also when the cables, they should be loose enough so that it will allow for movement and all. It should not be like when the subject turns and moves, it should not just plug out and come out, all those things. So all these are taken care at the level of the experimentation, the placing electrodes itself.
Are there any sleep study which are done in the field setup? Yes, there are studies which can be done in field setup in tertiary care, like going at home. So with ambulatory EEG and polysomnography is present. So the battery based or home based, so that can be done easily. So there is field setup. People are doing such in field also. So next is it expensive to conduct 2 consecutive nights. Just if you do 2 nights in setup, that is expensive. But if you really want good data, good result about actually natural, you have to do 2 studies. Okay, first is adaptation, then second is your main study. Will it affect the report of the study? As per the guidelines and research, just the first night is not your natural sleep, because whenever you go to a new environment, your brain considers it as like a new environment and you won't sleep very well there, because evolutionary we are made like new places like a threat like kind of thing, and we don't sleep that much there. But second night is good sleep, most towards the natural sleep. Okay, so it is costly affair, but there is no other choice. But if you get the first night good recording, you can also skip sometimes second night. So in that case, you can save money. Okay. So report, yes, there is a difference between the first and second night of the study. Not that much, but differences are there. Sometimes what happens first night, even such like sleep good actually. So in that case, it's okay. But if you are doing a research and then you have to mention that you are taking first night study or second night study, okay. In that way, that report you have to mention there. In case you are making daily basis patient report, mention that this is first night or the second night. So that will also help the clinician to diagnose. So I think this is addressed. We have junction box. We can remove that. So please, in case if you have a sleep setting up there, don't fix the electrodes with some walls or somewhere. I have seen some people are fixing the junction box with the wall and they don't allow subject to go washroom. So don't do that. Keep the junction box ambulate, like can move it. That's where junction box is provided mainly. Okay. So what is the cost of sleep study in Impedance? Okay. So it depends what kind of study indication. Second is if some research project is going on, then that cost will be bear by the project and no money will be needed for the subject. I think in 300, 400, 500. This is research side. In clinical side, I think in clinical like 300, 400. Maybe around that, I don't know, might be some. Maitri is there, she can reply that she also does that. Okay. So that is the cost, but in private setup, it's costly. Okay. Does the researcher stay awake the whole night in the sleep lab to monitor the system and the data collection? Yes, it's such has to be keep awake. Otherwise, anything, any time, subject might feel like going to washroom, and that researcher has to report at that time to the subject, okay, we are here. And so for that we do, two people should be there, two researchers. So one can sleep first half of the night, second can sleep second half of the night. So those shift you can make, then that is. I want to associate with Nimhan's WhatsApp process. Please email us. Whatever we can do, we'll do. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Right.
So the last 2 minutes of the video. Subject is ready to sleep. So this is also important. As you can see, there are a couple of mountings on the wall. The first one where Gulshan is pointing, these are mics. So if subject want to speak anything, it will be captured through this mic. And next to that, there's a speaker. In certain scenarios, especially in a research setup, the experimenter wants to communicate to the subject, and it might be just specific to the research study. For example, the experimenter might want to play some music during REM stage of the sleep and try to see whether that gets incorporated into people's dreaming or whatever. So we have a microphone so that the subject can communicate to the experimenter, and there is a speaker through which the experimenter can communicate to the subject, and there is an emergency alarm bell. So in case subject wants to go to washroom, we will instruct them that they can simply press the bell. Experimenter will come and detach the person subject from the junction box so that he or she can go to washroom safely. Otherwise, what happens is they will try to wake up. In that process, they will pull the electrode and the study will go for a toss. So it's very important to have these things and instruct subject accordingly. Cameras, lights, everything is on. So as you can see, everything is set, and we are ready to start the acquisition. Right. The lights are all out. Switch off the lights and just make sure everything is proper. Make sure there is enough storage space, because once you do everything and that moment you realize that there is not enough space, and then by the time you clear up some files and be ready, already it will be 10 or 20 minutes to the recording. And we have a video monitoring as well through the IR lights. So even if the lights are off, the experimenter can monitor the subject. Most importantly, start the acquisition button. So that completes the virtual lab tour. So please give more information about courses in sleep medicine offered by Nimans or any other institutes.
Yes.
So the you can find all the details in the ISSR website, where they have listed out what are the certification courses available, what is a procedure to do all these certification and courses. And also in the case of Nimans, you can look up the main Nimans website for the details of any upcoming short-term courses or workshops or whatever. You can also log in to our website, which is ccswebin.com. We'll be sharing the link at the end of the talk, or you can find it in the brochure as well. So you can find all the details there. So Dr. Prasida Menon, from your description of the instructions given to the subject, it seems that the subject should be very careful in following these. However, this may not be always be practical. In that case, do you have any criteria for selecting subject for sleep studies? Not really. So couple of things we instruct on the go and we make them comfortable. And typically before we invite them to do the study, we will sit them down, or over phone call, we try to give them a full idea of what is going to happen. And we try to address any concerns then and there, because many times there will be some underlying health condition which will make them not eligible to participate in the study and all. And a couple of times it will be like their friend has participated in one of our study and they have recommended, hey, it's okay, these people could take good care of you, you can go there. So mostly it's that way, so that we try to take care of any concerns they have. And otherwise there are not really any extra precautions they need to do for this study.
Okay, good afternoon. And I think some questions. Okay. Do you also give any compensation for this subject for their? It depends on the project money. If you have money, you can also give compensation to the subjects. Okay. So, and sorry, any health issue that contributed for that sleep study. Just if health issues are like if you are doing generally, then indication according to the physician, clinician. So according to that, we have to do that. If any health issues like I don't know what kind of health issue, but it's general. Polysomnography is not that much contraindicated in some health issue. If person is coming normally and going normally, and there is no other like debilitating situations, so then no issues. Okay, so if in case of research studies or you want to study that, you have to mention like that, okay, this kind of patient you don't want, then at that time you can make it contradicted. Okay, this is contradictory for that kind of person. As per se, polysomnography is very safe procedure. Okay, thank you. So please ask this question. This is now Rahul select, and we are recording the EEG. This is how we see in screen that monitor when recording is going on. So at the same time, now we will try to score it, like what kind of stage it is. Okay. So we will start now. Please ask question as many. In case someone has missed the last session, like I explained everything about the sleep stage scoring, scoring apnea, scoring PLMS, scoring. Okay. Okay. So in case you have missed, please ask question, please. Okay. So so that will make the session useful. Like if one person asks, so many people get benefit with that. Okay. Even we get benefit so much. Okay. Okay. So this is started. This is second epoch, and you can see here that this X means here that we have not assigned any stage here. Okay, so this is like person is going to sleep, and alpha activity is there. So much alpha activity, body movement is also there, since most of it is covered by the alpha activity. So it's a wake stage. So if you look at this kind of epoch and alpha activity is dominated, increase EMG is also there. So this is your like wake stage. So here this blue one is your what we call here EOG. Okay, so rapid eye movement is also there. Okay, and this black one, this one is your EMG. Okay, ECG, this we have attached extra. This is some older coding, I think. Okay, so we'll time with time we will score it accordingly. Okay, okay. So we'll see that. So this is what I have explained that. Okay, so alpha activity is there. So you can see their montage. So what kind of montage we are using now here, and so different electrodes we have derivations are there, EMG, EMG, like that. Okay. So SPOT is also there, but we are not using here for sleep stage scoring. Only electrodes EMG, EMG, and EG. So these electrodes we will use for the scoring part. Okay. So what do we want for the sleep stage scoring? That's what is happening now. Okay. So we need only this ECG. Even we don't need for the sleep stage scoring. and this is very clean data now. Okay, so you can also change the sensitivity. Okay, to look at least 2 mm of EMG activity you must see on the screen at least. So accordingly, you should change the EMG the sensitivity. Okay, so we have retrofrontal, central, okay, and then okay. So this is alpha activity you can see. Okay. This is first epoch we are doing now. Okay, okay, power filter is there. Okay. So now this epoch we are like 1 second epoch we are 30-second epoch divided into 1 second. Okay, if you can also do in 5 seconds, like 5 second, 5 second, 5 second, 30 seconds, and this is like I think 10. In this style that you can also count the EG activity there. Okay, this axis means we have not assigned any stage right now. Okay, so okay, so since this is wake stage, we have to add the scorer. So scorer is added. So we have reached here now to second epoch. If we go back, we have marked it wake stage. Okay. So similarly, we'll do the recording here. See that we'll score that. Okay. So this is wake stage again, and we'll see next. So these are the parameters you can change with your this bar on the screen. This is Nihan coded system. So most of the similar kind of settings are there in most of the good systems. So 30-second windows. Okay. So 1 second I am keeping. So 30 lines are there, so that I can count visually also. So this is second epoch. Next epoch after 30 seconds. So this is again, this is alpha activity in the, okay, and there is kind of RAM activity, EMG is there, high EMG is there. So ECG we are not considering for the scoring. So this stage is like what? Okay. So this is wake state because alpha activity is there. So we have to mark how this is wake. If go back, now we are the third epoch. Okay. So second epoch is wake. First one is also wake. So that's how we assign the epoch. So similarly, whole night will go like that, and we can know that okay, this is what happening, like how much sleep state. Okay. So here hypnogram is generating. Okay. So hypnogram is a presentation of sleep state scoring. So wake, RAM, N1, N2, N3. This is wake, and this is, we have to mark it as a wake. Okay. So that epoch, third epoch was marked as a wake stage. Again, this alpha activity is there, high movements are there, rapid eye movements are there, then it's wake. Again, alpha activity is there, rapid eye movements is there. Okay. So this is again wake. Alpha activity is there. Okay. So you see here that the hypnogram is generating, that gray color you can see. Okay. So slowly we see how hypnogram is generated. Okay. Fine. This is again alpha. Person is still not sleeping after 4 minutes, means 8 epoch, 30 means 4 minutes. So again, this is 10th epoch, and wake stage, wake stage, wake stage. So again, alpha activity is there, covering most 50% of the epoch. So it's a wake stage. Okay. So wake stage. So similarly, look at the hypnogram there also. It's again okay. Wake. So see that wake. Again, this amplitude is reduced kind of, but most of the coverage, see, you can see this is alpha activity actually. Okay, so total maybe more than 50. Okay. Okay. So here rapid movement is there and alpha activity is there. Okay. So this is okay. Wake. See, you can see rapid movement kind of thing. Again, movement is there. Wake. So even after 11 minutes, patient could not sleep, or subject could not sleep. So rapid movement is there. So wake. Okay. This again this. Okay. Okay. Rapid movement is there. Wake. Wake. So you can see that hypnogram is still showing wake also, and even after now there is something. This is slow eye movement. Okay, so slow eye movement is present. This is, you cannot see alpha here now. No alpha. Okay, in the occipital region. So what stage it is? So it's most likely. Okay. So if you go ahead, go back, go ahead, go back. Okay, so in fact this rapid movement is there. Okay, so here slow eye movement is there, and there is no alpha. Okay, so again this is slow eye movement. This is stage one. Okay, stage one. Slow eye movement is there. Alpha is there, but very less than the 50% of the total epoch. So it's EMG is lesser than that of the big stage, and it's one stage, N1. Okay. So if you look at the hypnogram now, N1 is being shown on the hypnogram with the color of yellow color. Okay. So you can see here this is vertex wave coming in N1. Okay. Again, vertex wave N1. So if you see zoom wise, we have zoomed it. So this is how it looks like. So this is, so if you see the vertex is centrally like dominant. See that? Okay. So in other electrodes, less dominant. Okay. So this is one stage. Again, you can see the vertex waves. Okay, and one. Vertex wave slow eye movements are there. So you can see on the hypnogram also. Okay. So this is again vertex wave, slow eye movements are there. We are not seeing any K complex and spindles. Okay. Slight increase in this kind of okay. Increase in EMG activity and slight it might be arousal. We'll see that. So if kind of alpha activity it is like shown, but it's not more than I think 50% of the total epoch. this is. So in this case, a bit difficult sometimes to score it as break or N1. So it depends on the experience. Like, okay, so here where our scoring differ. Okay, 5% of scoring difference inter-individual is allowed actually. Okay, so will you see the timing? So it is 14.9 seconds, something like that. Okay, so it is not like up to 15 seconds. So we have to score it N1 then. Okay. So your vertex waves are getting bigger. Later on, they will become K complex kind of waves. Okay. So again, here like transition is going from N1 to N2, but most probably it may be like N1 stage. So N1 stage. Okay. So that is see this. Vertex waves are there. A program is showing N1 also. And this is your K complex kind of wave. Okay. If it is more than like 0.5 seconds. On that basis, we have to mark it. That was not like more than 0.5 seconds. So that was vertex wave. So again, N1, N1. Here we see. Okay. So what we have here, this is kind of K complex vertex wave, but this is, okay. And this is our spindle. So spindle is present, then what it is? So it's N2 stage. Okay. This is also spindle. Yeah, this is also spindle. Okay. But spindle was prominent in the center region, also sometime in temporal region. Okay. So it should be marked N2. I think we have one question. Okay, so why we mark that N2? Because spindles were there. So spindle is present in second half or the first half in epoch 45 previous epoch. Just 1 minute. So here, just 1 minute. Yeah. So spindle you can see here, this one, no? This part, this kind of little spindle is there, and second part, this is spindle. This second part of, if you are talking about first half, this 15 seconds before and after. In this is a spindle, this is a spindle, this is a spindle. But if this is a kind of little spindle, we cannot be sure that that amplitude is not that much, but the frequency is similar to the spindle. Okay, so it may be also a spindle. Okay, so spindles are present both sides, right? So okay. So I am doing a short nap study for my PhD thesis. Is it possible to score segmented 4-second epochs of sleep instead of continuous EEG data? No, 4 seconds is very less, because in 4 seconds, your I told you, N3 stage. So even to score N3 stage, we need at least 6 seconds. For also for wake stage, we need at least 15 seconds. Okay, so in that regard, we cannot do that. So you can score 30 and divide by to get your 4 second. So score 30-second window and then divide it by, then you can do like, okay, this is what. But according to this scoring rules, we cannot do, okay, this is 4-second window. That we cannot do. But instead, what you can do, it's like 30-second window, divide it by, after scoring it, divide it by the required number, like 4 or 5. Okay. Okay. Duration is 45 minutes. No. Even duration is your 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You have to score it like in 30-second window or 20-second. If you some researchers use 20-second window for R and K. Even you can use, but that you have to follow certain other rules with that. But even you have 10-second data, you have to follow the same rules. Yes, if you are following ASM. Okay, we'll go to the next. Okay. So in this epoch, spindles are there. Okay, A complex is there. So this is N2. Okay. Okay. So check the program also at the same time that how representation of scoring is going on. So this is mostly 2. Okay. A complex is there, spindle is there. Okay. So accordingly we have to. Okay. So see the hypnogram. You are getting good hypnogram without many techniques. Okay. So here this is again 2 as good K complex spindles are there. Okay. And this is how K complex is there. Okay. So I'm doing fast here because we'll show you the N3 now coming epochs. So this is now slow wave activities there. Okay. Go back also. Okay. So these waves are slow wave activity. Their frequency is like 0.5 to 2 hertz. So is it N2 or N3? It's N3. Okay. So we have to mark it as N3. It's not N2. This is kind of 1.2 seconds. So this is a wave, slow wave activity. Okay. It's a zoom view. Okay. So many slow wave activities are there. You can also see this slow wave activity in zoom view. Okay. So what stage it is then? So N3. Okay. So we mark that stage as N3 because slow wave activity is present more than the 6 seconds or 20% of the total epoch. So here again slow wave activity is there. So spindle might be present sometimes in slow wave activity in N3 stage. So at that time we have to mark that stage N3, not N2. So slow wave activity is there. Now this is EOG. EOG is also showing some activity, and this is because our body is conductive, very much conductive, and our eyes are picking up the signal because of conduction from the waves. This frontal or slow wave activity is being picked up by the EOG. So this is not EOG activity. This is actually EG activity. So that's what at third stage again. Third stage N3. So it's very easy to mark this one. Like if you just see slow wave activity, don't care about anything else. Okay. Slow wave activity. Again, this is EG artifact in EOG. EM is lower than that. Okay. So much non-REM3 or N3 stage is there. So this is beautiful hypnogram you can see now. This is again 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Okay. Quite long first half of this N3, and this wake stage was there. This is N3. Now, in this small activities there, this increase the engine since it is covering more than the 20% of the power, it's N3. So you can see so much activities there. Okay, 127 epoch. Okay. And this is the timing, and this is this. So body movement is there. See, rapid movement is there. It means person is making moving eyes, and increase in EMG is also there. And you see so much activity, but alpha is there. So I told them a major body movement plus alpha is there, then it's considered as wake stage. So that was detailed, like we explained like in detail in the last session. Okay. So you can see, you see the whether person is moving here or not. Okay. Okay. You see that video is the person moves at that time when EMG that movement is there. So now we see the behavioral part of this. Person sleeping with blanket. Okay. Now this, you can see the movement in the video. So this is what is happening in the EEG at the time of body movement. Okay. To turn and slept again, away. Okay. So this is how you can see what happened and how behaviorally you can see the polysomnography. So this is again person is sleeping but not sleeping because awake alpha is there and covering most of the part of the fog. Okay. So this is keep the video with us also in case we need it later. Okay. Okay, so this epoch is weak. This is N3. So next is okay. So this is wake. So alpha activity is there. Now next epoch, you can see within 60 seconds person slept again. So see the next epoch, you can see the N2 beautifully, but this is slow eye movement. Now we have to see whether like this is there, K complex is there, and this part is slow eye movement. I think it covering most of the part, like more than 15%, 50%. You have to mark it N1. So here K complex is there. So it's obvious it's N2. Okay. So N2, 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 N2. This kind of activity, but it's not reaching at the slow wave activity. So this is N2, then N2, 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 N2. K complex, big K complex. And two because of K complex. So here you can see the Emg is very low, and but falling epochs, I think this is like N2, so rapid movement is not there, but this K complexes are there. So that is like N2 only. N2. So here that in mid there was epoch, there was nothing K complex, nothing was there, but proceeding and following epochs were N2 and because of K complex. So that's why the center one we marked it as a N2. So this is K complex again. So here we can see something special. Rapid movement. Okay. K complex is slide is there. Small move activities there, but we have to prefer first half of the epoch or epoch which has no other activity. So here again K complex kind of activities there. So K complex. So just see this just a RAM for one epoch only. So we have to mark it accordingly. Okay. So again in RAM, you see 174 and 2 is there, and yeah. $175, there is no sign of like a complex, but falling epoch has RAM. So we have to mark 175 epoch as RAM because there was no distinguished feature of the N2 also. So RAM dominates when it comes like that. So this rapid movement is obviously RAM. Okay. So again, K complex comes. Okay, so we have to mark it. And 2, and 2, and 2. And 2 is covering more than the 50%. So we don't consider this body movement. Okay. So yeah, so alpha activity is there, and one question is there. I will address that first. So can RAM stage or stage alternate with non-RAM like this? Yes. So the shifting can occur frequently, like N2 RAM to N2, sometime and RAM to N1, way to. This I explained, I think, in the transition phase in the last session. So it can happen like this. But between N3 and the RAM stage, that is sometime very rarely you can see. But in N2, N1, and this shifting happens many times. It also depends if like if good sleep is that these transitions are less. Okay, but this transition can happen, but good sleep this transition are less. And in case of you saw the hypnograms in last sessions and yesterday's that in schizophrenia these transitions are very much high. Okay, so in epoch 180, do you score arousal? While sleep stage scoring, we cannot score. We should not score this. In sleep stage scoring, there is no need of like arousal, but we separately we can mark arousal, or we can take the help of arousal to mark the stage also. Okay, so Arousal may be there, I will see there again 180, and arousal may be there, we have to mark it, we can mark it. Otherwise, there is no need. Because in hypnogram, if you see here in hypnogram, there is no option for arousal. Okay. So arousal you can mark it, and in the later on you can analyze it, how many arousal were present in N2 and N3 that you can do. Yeah. Huh? It's a sleep kind of event, like J complex is there and other. That kind of event is there. Okay. So that you can do, but you can mark arousal, but it is like in hypnogram you cannot show the arousal. Okay, it's a kind of sleep event. Okay, so we'll see the 180. Just 180. No? So arousal, this body movement is there. This one. Okay. So if just 1 minute. So this kind of arousal, just one. It is not arousal if it is like that is arousal according to this epoch. If we have to just look at this epoch, this is arousal. Okay, since it is going to the next also next epoch, so it is mostly probably it's vague actually. Okay, but just look at this epoch. If you have to identify, just this is arousal. So with patient, OSA arousals are important. OSA arousals are also usually with respect to the major body movement come as an 180 epoch. How do we identify score arousal? So we have to mark, we can mark it on the, here this is a video actually. We can mark like on the, here that this is arousal and how many arousals are happening with the OSA. Those markings are there, we can do that, okay. So for OSA patient, arousal are very important. That is true. That respiratory effort related arousals, etc. So in that case, yes, you can major body movement come as an. So if yes, with the arousal, major body movement can also happen. Okay. So we can score arousal like if it is like less than 15 seconds. EG activity, shift in the EG activities there like is towards more higher. Okay. So if we see here, this activity is increasing. Okay, this going towards C beta range. Okay, so that's why it is. Okay. So we'll see in the next few epochs. If you have another question, then we will discuss more about this. How to score arousal and how major body movement, because I explained it in the last session also. So we'll take the help of those diagrams also, how to differentiate with arousal or major body movement, when to score this word. Okay. Okay, thank you. So we'll go next. So here we are at 182 epoch, and you can see the REM what we scored. It's very tiny, right? Okay. In first half of this epoch, that REM sleep is less actually, and deep sleep is more. So again, this you can do easily because we are very now in so many epochs, and it's easy. And to okay. Again, this movement is there, but high activity is there. This is low activity is also there in present, but this is high activity. So this see rapid eye movement is also present. So rapid eye movement is there. EMG is increased there. Increase in the shift of the EEG means towards higher EEG activity. So it is weak. So you can also see next epoch. Rapid eye movement is there, and rapid eye movement is there. Alpha is there. So weak. So see how it shifts like. Okay. This is 204 and this is 205 and this is 206. So this is low eye movements. Alpha is disappearing and low amplitude frequency is coming in. So this should be N1. Okay. Now K complexes are there. So that EG higher activity of major body movement is coming there, and the next epoch is also big, so we have to mark it is big. Although slow eye movements are there, but we'll see which one is dominating, like who has more motion. Okay, so yeah, and one just it should be big, I think. Okay. Okay, slow eye movements, no spindle or K complex, so this is N1. So K complexes are there. Okay. So N2. Again, K complex are there, and two spindles are there. Two. So you can see the frequency when you zoom in. So this is okay. So I think you can make, like, you can identify now yourself. Please, don't understand anything, please let us, we can go back, and if your concepts are like some doubt are there, we can clear now after this video. So this is slow wave activity, slow wave activity is there. Okay. So again, and it's covering more than the 20% of the total epoch, or 6 seconds. So it should be N3. Okay. Slow wave activity is there, so much is there, more than 6 seconds. It should be N3. Okay. So N2, because slow activity was less, only 3-4 seconds slow activity was there. Here, the slow activity is more. Okay. So it's N3. Again, slow activity is more. And see, spindle is also present here, but slow activity is more, like more than 6 seconds. We have to, this is spindle. Okay. So spindle may be present at N3. And now slow wave activity is not that much, only K complex is there too. And this is again, slow wave activity has increased here. This epoch, this is N3. Okay. So this transition is happening, N2, N3, N2, N3, and it happens. Okay. So this is slow wave activity is present here. So this was marked wrongly. You have to correct it. Okay, N3. Okay. This is again N2. We have marked. This is wrong. So this is actually N3. Okay. And slow activity is there. N3. Slow activity is there. N3. 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 So here again, that rapid, this is N3, and person is going from N3 to wake stage. And this is alpha, rapid movements are there, and alpha is also there. If you see this, this is alpha, and that is why it's wake. So again, this alpha, this K complex is there, so wave activity is there, but the amplitude that much. So N2, again, this is N2, and this is again, okay. Yes, we have one question now. Let's see that. Okay. So can slow wave activity occur in N2? So N2, like if you have slow wave activity lesser than 6 seconds, so that is occurring in N2. Okay. So only when this slow wave activity is more than 6 seconds or 20% of the total epoch. So only then it's N3. So yes, slow wave activity occur in N2. Even K complexes is slow wave activity if you look. So K complex is actually a slow wave activity. So if you have K complexes more than 6 seconds in an epoch, so that is also called N3 stage. Okay. I think that is answered. Okay. So we'll see this epoch. Okay. So here some elements are there, but see that. Okay. This is N2, 287, 288 N2, and this is like some alpha activity is also there. And this is low amplitude means see that. So kind of low amplitude only. So N1. Okay, great. So there K complex you can see, and you can see the transitions like wake to N2, N2, N1 like that. So it happens. So so this is arousal. Okay, this is like kind of arousal. See, K complex work there, and not associated with the, but this part is arousal. If it exceeds more than 15 seconds, then it's wake. If it is lesser than 15 seconds, then we are counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So 14 seconds. So not exceeding 15 seconds. So it should be like, it's not associated with the K complex. So 2. Okay. 2, 2, 2. And 2. Second K complex and 2. So K complex is a slow wave vector. Sometimes that design of the K complex may not be that good look like it's some kind of wave, but okay. So we have question. Just. This is a nice question. After arousal, do you have to down stage? Just if falling stage has no K complexes, okay, then we have to down stage it. If nothing is there in falling stage, if K complex is there, that means stage N2 already started. But if there is no K complex, no spindles, or no other sign of other state characteristic sign, so then falling stage we have to mark it as N1. Okay. So here we can see rapid movement, very clear background. Okay, I think we have one more question. So previous epoch with arousal is N1, right? So if you please, we have epoch number here. So if you, because I forget, because I am concentrating here. So rule is that, okay, if you have arousal, next, if there is no other distinguished features like K complex other, then next is like N1. Okay. So previous epoch with arousal is N1. So arousal is there, but if K complexes and spindles are also there and that occupy more than the part of the arousal. Okay, because arousal is 15 seconds, na? So less than the 15 seconds. So that cannot occupy. Like if arousal become more than 15 seconds, it become big. Okay, so in that sense. I see. I think we have lost like 5 10 epoch. So please mention that epoch number so we can go there. So I think not, but the rule is this. If I have marked wrong, maybe I have marked wrong. I don't know, but the rule is this. Okay. Okay. Background EEG, low amplitude mixed frequency, all those things. Okay. So this rapid movement is there now. So R stage, R stage. EMG is very low. You see. Rapid movement is there. So this epoch has nothing, means no other distinct, but the following epochs are the preceding epochs were having rapid events. So that's why we are marking them as a REM sleep. So here you can see the rapid event also. So this epoch is some arousal has come. So in case of REM sleep, na, if arousal are there, we cannot downgrade it. Okay, so arousal can happen in REM sleep. It doesn't mean we'll downgrade it to N1 unless there is increase in EMG activity. Okay. This is first half of this, and this is second half of this. Most of it is covered by the REM sleep. So there is a problem. I think I have done something wrong. Okay, we'll see that. Yes, yeah. Whether this should be marked. Okay. This we'll see now. I'm going to count it like up to this. Okay. If it is like more than 15 seconds, then it's RAM. Otherwise, N1 because arousal is there. Okay. Smaller. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So it's a RAM stage. Okay. So first half, and it's covering more than the 50%. So if one is marking here and one is wrong, it's actually R stage. Okay. And this is wrong marking. So this is was there. So proceeding this falling epoch like 320. It should we will see 321, 320. So RAM is not there. Okay. So we have to go back to 320. So here this is low amplitude frequency, and there is no K complexes and so N1. Okay. So this is kind of slow wave activity. Okay. We have to go on N2. So again N2 K complexes are there. So again RAM sleep comes into picture. Requirement is there. Mark this R. Requirement is the R. Okay. So you can see beautiful REM sleep, very clear background because muscle activity is very less. So we see very good EEG activity during the REM sleep actually because of heterotonia. So this is all REM. We are going back. This is okay. REM sleep showing. We are going back. I think. Okay. So we have seen all the stages like N1, N2, wake, R stage. Okay. So the pavement is there. This is R. What is like this one? Because there are no distinct slight activity was there, so activity was but not big as that of the K complex or spindles are not there. But here increase in EM is there. So, but the next epoch is so wake again. This is again one. This is wake again. We don't have to no N1 because alpha was replaced by low amplitude frequency, and this is K complex is there and okay. Okay. Now we can see this hypnogram. Okay. So this is what we have scored till now, and this is how do you have to score throughout the night. And this is like the RAM. Okay. So in see the first cycle, this RAM is like okay, very less, and you see that N3 is very high. Okay, and yeah. So wake stage is also there. Every stage we have covered, and so this is REM sleep, and I think we are done with the video and this part. Please ask questions if you have any question regarding this.